Hi, this is BJ from Digital Mind. I'm just shooting a short video on the top 7 profile mistakes that cost freelancers work. First point I'd like to cover with you is spelling and grammar mistakes. Now, this often gets seen by employees as an indication of your work, particularly if the project that you might be considered is for an English-related assignment. Uh, this is also seen as an indication of your communication. So, for instance, if you have a lot of mistakes in your profile or in your cover letter, then that is seen as an indication of what the client can expect, which again can be seen as a potential threat of having problems with miscommunications and misunderstandings. English is particularly important if you're coming from Asia or any country where you would presume that English is not the first language. So make sure that you get that right. Secondly, bad test results. Now, ideally, you want your test results to be as good as possible. It's important, in particular, to test yourself for English if it is your second language, because it will be one of the first questions that employers want to have clarified. And finally, professionally related tests. So, for instance, if you are a web designer, it might be relevant to do a test in Photoshop. 3. Too many unrelated tags. Now, there are a few freelance platforms that allow you to create tags to describe you so that it's easier for employees to find you. A problem with that is that many freelancers decide to go all out on the tags and add tags that they know are being searched for rather than tags that adequately describe what it is that they do. Now, the result of that is that it's really bad for the credibility because it can get the freelancer to come across as being desperate and not really focusing on their core strengths, which again makes employers doubt whether or not what is being presented is real. 4. Bad professional description. Now, I'm really talking about the main section of a freelance profile where the freelancer is describing themselves and their core strengths. Now, common mistakes here is lots of grammatical errors, little focus on strengths, little of any evidence, and not a lot of information about the freelancer's skills, passions, and experience. Basically, a very weak presentation. 5. No clear professional title. A freelancer benefits a lot by knowing exactly what it is that they do. If a profile don't clearly identify a professional title, it could be seen as an indication of lacking focus, that the freelancer is unable to identify specifically what it is that they do, and also struggle with clearly understanding what value they can bring clients, which again is an alarm bell for prospective employers. 6. Bad or nice testimonials. When it comes to testimonials, it's almost a subtle art in trying to read them, because at times freelancers can have what appears to be really good feedback, when in reality the story is a little bit mixed. So what I suggest employees to do is to look at words like okay, nice, good, or not a good fit, which are indications that the freelancer might have done an acceptable job, or that the employer don't want to embarrass himself or herself by pointing out weaknesses with the client that with the freelancer that they might have hired. What you really want to hire as an employer is wow. You want to hire the outstanding freelancers that don't waste a lot of your time in communication, that understands what it is that you want to do, and that have a track record for over delivering every time. Also keep in mind that if you're a freelancer, that bad feedback is not really the end of the world. If you have some bad testimonials, then I would I would say that the more experienced employees out there are able to understand that some employees can be wrong, and there might be situations where there's quite simply not a good fit between the freelancer and the client. Finally, poor or lacking portfolio. Now the worst here is if you have no portfolio at all. If that is the case, then I suggest that you spend some time in your cover letter explaining that and maybe offer other examples. A second problem is if you have a weak portfolio, then if I'm an employer and I see a freelancer that has a weak portfolio, I just go to the next freelancer. I just skip it. And finally, if there's quite simply not a good fit between the portfolio of the freelancer and the client, meaning it doesn't really fit the project. Okay, that's about it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, go to digitalmind.com.